Yo, what's good, y'all? In today's video, I got part 2 of the beginner guide to scripting in Roblox. If you didn't see part 1, which was like an hour long, go watch that because I covered some topics and stuff. So I'm just gonna extend the series. I don't have as many topics as I discussed in part 1 to talk about now. If you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments. Maybe I would cover them in the next part and stuff. But I just got like a few extra topics that I didn't cover at the end of the video because it was already an hour long, and then a few extra that one of my subscribers commented and stuff. So yeah, I'm just go through those. These are definitely very important things, very useful things. So yeah, like I said, if you didn't already watch part 1, go watch it. Thank y'all for all the love and support you guys been showing the channel, especially part 1. I'll keep the series going as long as you guys keep showing the video love. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so for the first thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about for loops slash for I, or actually let me put it like this. They're just called for loops. Yeah. Okay, so for loops, but I'm also going to talk about for IV and pair loops and stuff. They're they fall under the same category as like for loops, but they work a little differently. I'm going to show you guys in a second what I'm talking about. Okay. So, an example of this would be, so say you guys know let's see, a match. Yeah. You guys know, like in an FPS game, right? Y'all know how like when the match starts and stuff. I mean, there aren't really much FPS games. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that genre kind of died on Roblox now that I really think about it. Like, it's all fighting games. There are no really shooting games that are. But anyway, so you guys know how like at the top of your screen when you be playing games like Arsenal and stuff back in the day, there would be like a timer at the top of the screen. It would be like, to the left the minutes, to the right the seconds. So 2 minutes, 50 seconds, then it'll keep counting down, 49, 48, 47. It would just keep counting down, right? So those timers and stuff, they are used most of the time. They're made by using a for I loop and stuff. So let me show you guys. I'm gonna first show you guys a for I loop, then I'm gonna show you guys a for I being paired loop. If you guys have seen, if you're like, you've seen my other videos and stuff, you've definitely seen me use these. If you've watched my other videos, you've definitely seen me use these before. Okay, so first we have a for I loop. So it's just as it sounds, a for I, well, we don't actually say loop and stuff, right? So the way this works, we're going to say for I is equal to, so I right here, right, this is a variable, right? We're initializing a variable. It's not obviously our normal local variable and stuff, but this is a variable. Like, this is a, or more like a value, I guess you could say, but it is kind of a variable that we can call on, right, within the loop. So the way this works is there needs to be 3, or usually I should say there's 3 values, right? First, you have your starting value, right? So say if I wanted to make a countdown that went 10, 9, 8, and it counted down to 1. First thing first is your starting value. So I'm going to put 10. That's where I want to start. Then comma, you're going to put when you want it to stop and stuff, right? Like, it's gonna go, like, it's gonna, this is the start, this is where you want it to stop. So I'm gonna put 1 comma. Now for our last value, you're going to put the changer. This is the modifier. This is what happens. This is either going to be a positive number or it's going to be a negative number. So if you put, like, well, all of these can be either negative or positive number, but I'm saying with this, if you want it to increase, go up, like go 1, 2, 3, 4, you leave this as a positive 1. If you wanted it to go 10, 9, 8, 7, then you would do -1, but you'd obviously would have to, you would want this to be -1, so it goes 10, 9, 8, go down, right? But yeah, so since we want it to go from 10 to 1, we're gonna need to do a -1, right? We want it to go down. Then you would press enter or just type do and then enter, right? Oh, let's ignore that. But yeah, so we have our for loop, right? So it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Now, these are a little different than while loops, which I will cover and stuff. If you know what while loops are, you know that they, if you don't put a wait in between them, it'll crash the server. With while loops, that will not happen. Like, it'll just play instantly. Like, pretty much just like this, right? I'm gonna put print, right? I'm gonna say print in quotation marks. We're gonna say the number is dot dot dot, and then we're going to put I, because you guys see how it's a value, it's number. So if I press run, right, remember we inserted a server script into server script service. So if I press run, right, you're going to see in the output, right, you're going to see, you guys see how it printed. The number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Well, it went 10 to 1, you guys see, because, at the top, it goes top to bottom. So you guys see how it counted down from 10 to 1, right? So you see how it was instant, right? But for an actual countdown, we would want it to, be in second intervals. So First thing first, I'm gonna put a space here just so it's separated. So, put a space, we of course would do task.wait 1 second because we want it to be, 1 every 1 second. We want it to go down every 1 second. You guys see 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So it's just like that. So that's pretty much how for loops work and stuff. So if you really just wanted to have something repeat itself multiple times, like in that time period for a certain amount of time, I guess you could say, set amount of times, then you would use a for loop. Like for example, obviously countdowns, timers. Other things would be, I used it for like a punch barrage attack, like like when when you see like fist going really fast and stuff. So you could for like a punch barrage attack. It has a lot of use and stuff, but what comes to mind for me is really timers and countdowns. Now I'll talk about for I v impaired loop, for I comma v impairs loop. These are a little different, right? So for I v impaired loop, for I v impairs loop. These get the children of instances. Now, to explain what that means, because I'm assuming you guys probably look a little confused. So the children, if you don't understand what the children mean, right? You guys know in real life how you have a parent and then a child. Do you guys see how server script servers are here? If I click the script, you'll notice how the parent, it says the parent of the script is server script service. That's because it's parented to it, right? The script is a child of server script service because it is inside. Pretty much the children or anything that is inside of the instance. So since the script is inside of the server script service, it is a child of server script service. So an example of children would be, for example, right, your character. A child of your character would be the humanoid, or it would be your head, your hand, your arms, your legs. These are all examples of children, right? These children are parented to your character inside of workspace, right? So that's how it is. So for IV and pairs loops are used to get the children. So pretty much say like this, right? Say if I had if I wanted to make it so that my player's character, or not my player's character, actually, no, let's do like this. I'm gonna insert some parts, right? So I'm gonna just duplicate them by spamming Control D, and then let's place them close to each other, but not, right there, right? So we have a whole bunch of different parts, right? And then let's say, I don't know. Let's just assume they had different names, right? Let's just assume. I know they all have the same name, but let's just say it was part 1, part 2, part 3, etc., right? So let's assume they all had different names, right? But I wanted to get all of the parts, and I wanted to change all of their colors at once. Now, obviously, I could just do workspace.part1, .part2, .part, but obviously that would take too long. That's wasting a lot of time. Instead, what we can do is we can use a for IV and pairs loop to get all of the children of the workspace, check to make sure that they're a part, and then change their color. So here's how we would set this up. We would say for I comma v in pairs, right? And the way this works is you're going to see an array or dictionary table, so you can use this for tables as well. You're going to put the instance that you're trying to get the children of. So in this case, our instance would be the workspace. So we say workspace : get children, then enter, right? So now we've gotten all the children. Now you don't have to name these I and V. Honestly, since you guys are beginners, I would honestly give them actual specific names. Like, that's honestly better. It helps you remember what exactly this is. So you could say this is a number. So you could put like number or amount, and you can name this I don't know, part. Yeah, you could really rename V to part, right? So the way we check to make sure that it what's it called, that it is a part, remember, you guys remember conditional statements that I covered in part 1. We would say if V is a quotation marks part, right? Then if it is a part, enter. We would then say V dot brick color is equal to brick color dot new, right? And then in quotation marks, I would put really red or whatever color you guys want. So boom, that's how for IV and pairs loop will work. Pretty much they're meant to really save time and stuff, right? So if I press run now, you guys see how literally everything is red and stuff, right? You guys see how literally all the parts inside of workspace are red, right? So that's pretty much it. So the difference between the I and the V, like the first value and the second value, the first value is the number, right? So pretty much it's like this. So once it goes through all of the children in the workspace, then it gets only the parts. The I would be the number. So since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts, then it would count 8 different times. It would be 8 different numbers, right? V is the actual specific instance, right? This is how you actually get, like, the properties, the transparency, the color, the material, the position, the C frame, da da da. So that's how you use for if pairs loops. These are extremely essential for almost anything you can imagine. UI scripting, definitely combat scripting, of like handling effects. Very useful for a lot of different things. Data storage, extremely useful. Highly recommend using them. Now we can move on to while loops, which I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of while loops, right? So while loops, you write it honestly as it sounds. While, and then here you put something. You could put a wait. You could say task.wait 1 second, but most people usually just do true. So while true, enter. So while true. So what this pretty much means is while whatever your condition is right here is set to like, as long as the condition is met, this loop will continue to run. So this loop right here, we have it, right? So say if I said while true do, then print in quotation marks, the loop is running, right? If I were to press run or play right now, right, the server would pause, like it would freeze for a few seconds and stuff, because it wouldn't crash, but it would like kind of crash, because you can't have a while loop that's constantly running. That's way too much pressure on the server. What you need to do is put a wait in all of your while loops. You have to have some type of wait. It can literally be 0.1 seconds. Like, it doesn't matter. It just has to be some type of wait that is obviously more than 0 seconds. Because as you guys can see, the server can clearly handle this and stuff. Now, obviously, in an actual server, it might be, like too many while loops running every 0.1 seconds might be, too much. But generally speaking, it can handle while loops that are running every 0.1 seconds, right? You guys see how it keeps counting up, because every 0.1 seconds the loop is running, because the condition, we just put while true do and stuff. There's no way it could be false unless we actually press stop and then change it to false, right? So say if I created a variable, so local variable is equal to true, right? And if I said, the way you do it is you can say while variable is equal to true do, right? So as long as it's equal to true. So if I press run, it's going to continue to run because it's, we set it to true. Now if I press stop and then I set this to false, which it's false now, the condition statement will not, the condition is not being met. The while loop, as you can clearly see, is not running and stuff. The condition has to be met for the while loop to continue running. While loops, once again, very useful. Usually use these to check for things. Like, use it for drop, definitely drops. I just used it for drop, like spawn rates and stuff, like of bosses, I don't know, items, keys, like things players can unlock and stuff, like things, events that happen every, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours and stuff. So while loops are very essential. You just have to know how to use them, right? So that you don't, crash your server and stuff. A basic example of using a while loop would be if I were to do workspace.baseplate dot color equals color3 dot new. We could change the color of the base plate, right? So actually, instead of changing it, let's actually do I don't think there's a color3 dot random. Yeah, we're gonna do brick color dot random, right? Which pretty much means it'll give us a random color. So we're gonna need to change this to brick color, and then remember what I said, we're gonna need to have a task.wait. So let's do this where it's every 0.3 seconds it's going to change the color. Now, since we set the variable's value back to true, the loop will now run. So here's an example of the usage of it. You guys will see every 0.3 seconds the base plate changes color and stuff. Not gonna lie, the colors are bright as shit, like damn. But anyway, moving on.